Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. And of course, the important thing is to understand that we have lots of ways of approaching illness that is beyond just, quote, marketing a specific vitamin or nutrient. We have, number one, the most powerful medical grade 7-star nutraceuticals. We have support. If you email me anywhere in the world, even if you haven't purchased anything, I will respond at no charge to tell you what to do to start to help to get your conditions reversed. Number two, if you're one of our regular customers, meaning you've ordered 6 times in the last year, any size, even just one bottle, or you've had a $1,000 order, I can return your phone call, and anybody can request a consultation. And I charge by time for half-hour time slots. And usually, just to start, I recommend at least 2 time slots for an hour if we have a complete review of medical records and so on. So it's really simple. You're not going to just get me to flog a specific nutrient saying this is going to be a miracle cure. What you need to know is that I'm here for you and I will help to get you well. And also combine not only the most advanced in terms of conventional medicine, which, by the way, all these other so-called specialties that are not medical doctors don't know about imaging, CT scans, MRIs, or EKGs, or advanced genetics or toxicology. I do. And I can tell you and to direct you to conventional advanced doctors as well as specialists. I can tell you about tests that are the gold standard. I can tell you about functional medicine tests and genetic analysis. So you're going to receive a level of help that is beyond anything you're going to get from your family doctor or even your specialist. And because I have a background that is so broad, I can tell you what things are valid and which things are dangerous, both natural and conventional. So do rely on the service. It's a ministry. We're here to support you and make you well. We're also here to train other doctors. I talk to doctors literally daily around the world to try to help them get better protocols. In fact, I had a doctor from Santiago, Chile wants me to help them do their clinic. I said, the best way is for me to train you case by case. You send me a case, I'll give you the protocol, I'll give you the science behind it. So no matter where you are, if you're a physician in Indonesia, South Africa, Russia, China, anywhere, I will help you get the most advanced technology. I just spoke to one of my colleagues dealing with microcurrent, and he has a number of health professionals that has their microcurrent devices. I've worked out a way of extracting the treatment frequency, so if you contact me and consult, I can actually plug you into that network to get microcurrent treatment. It's done by health professionals. You have to have a license in order to do the microcurrent treatments. I can tell them what kind of technology and equipment to extract the treatment frequencies to help your condition. So in other words, I plug you into networks that I know through a consultation. So if you consult me, whether you're trying to fight cancer or autoimmune disease or multiple sclerosis or whatever condition, I will give you the latest and most advanced care in different countries around the world and what you can do with health professionals, naturopaths, chiropractors, nutritionists, whatever, but I'll frame what's good and what's not good so that you'll have in other words, you'll be informed. One of the more common conditions we often see is gallstones, gallbladder. And we had an interesting request a week or so ago with the young woman who was getting late night indigestion related to her pregnancy. Well, the first thing is when you have high progesterone levels, especially in the first stage of pregnancy, the progesterone basically is the primary hormone that keeps you from losing a pregnancy in the first trimester. If you have inadequate progesterone, it can cause miscarriage. But progesterone is also a pro-stimulant for the bowel, and if it stimulates the gallbladder, it can cause bile reflux into the duodenum or the lower stomach. It can cause abnormal spasm of the bile ducts and or the small bowel or stomach, causing air and gas trapping. So the first treatment we recommend is GastroHeal, which is incarnosine to stop the bile gastritis and duodenitis. Second thing is IBS care, which is a slow-release carnitine to normalize peristaltic activity of the bowel. And third is the one to reduce the inflammation of the gallbladder and bile ducts is cell defense. And the fourth is called magnesium potassium citrate, which will stop the formation of sludge turning into gallbladder stones. So that will help to prevent stone formation. And the next one that we add is BioLVR because it'll help also prevention of stone formation. But the most important is magnesium potassium citrate to prevent stones forming in not only the kidney but also in the bile ducts. If you've got a gastroenteritis, stomach flu, first thing I recommend is Silver 100 spray, 1 spray per 10 pounds body weight or 3 drops 4 times a day. Ellison Med, 1 capsule 3 times a day. And you can also take Nutridyne 15 drops 3 times a day. The drink I recommend is for your electrolytes is Sports Energy Light, Brain Mag, 1 to 2 scoops, and you sip it with 1/8 of a teaspoon of sea salt and You can also add to that some of the magnesium in the form of magnesium glycinate malate or brain mag. The next thing you can do is probiotics, which will help to settle the bowel down. Living Probiotic, a capsule twice a day, and Living Probiotic Ultra. And remember, with gastroenteritis, you get a release of histamine, so Allergon and Allerblock are extremely useful to stop the excess histamine that's going to cause a lot of the gut spasms and discomfort. General adult wellness. Somebody who says, well, I'm really healthy, but I just want to have some general nutraceutical support. Recommend Vitamin Mineral Max and Minerals Plus, Omega Supreme, Omega Fatty Acids, BioLVR, and Cell Defense. That's just like a core to start with. If you do a QRMA test, or if you give me a wellness history, even a brief history by email, I'll tell you what to start with, particularly for your condition. If you have a family history of things like arthritis, or diabetes, or obesity, or chronic fatigue, or whatever, I can customize it to your specific problems. Hair loss, balding, Recidival Hair Tonic, Collagen Max, to restore the triple rate of the proline to hydroxylase, making new hair follicles, improving your skin, hair, nails. Mountain Red Velvet, open a capsule under your tongue 3 times a day, and then Lumen Photon setting Nico, a half an hour twice a day over the scalp. You can also put on setting number 3, which is for ectoderm or skin, and neuroectoderm, brain and peripheral nervous system. Head injury, Brain Mag and Sports Energy Light. Cognition Plus, 2 capsules twice a day. Vinpocetine, which is our special Brain Mag, 1 capsule twice a day. Synaptin, a capsule twice a day. Neurogen, 4 soft gels twice a day. This is to remyelinate the nerve fibers that have been damaged by the brain injury, because oftentimes the brain inflammation causes you to lose the myelin sheath. And of course, to stop the free radicals, cell detox, glutathione, Regenerex, and Nutritrella. Now, if you make a cocktail and you want to do one we call a head injury cocktail, it's real simple. Use Sports Energy Light, Brain Mag, and Calm Mind. Very powerful, and that'll help to turn off the brain trauma. You can also add to that brain trauma Gamma E Plus to stop what's called nitroperoxy radical. Headaches, CoQ10 Supreme Ubiquinol, the water-soluble form. You want to take 1 soft gel, 3 soft gels twice a day, and if you have a acute headache, which is a migraine type, you puncture it with a corn skewer and squeeze it into your gums and hold it there for 10 or 15 minutes. A tablet of Power Methyl B12 under the tongue, Sem-ethyl under the tongue, 1 sachet twice a day with methylation, a BioLVR capsule twice a day, Cell Defense 2 caps twice a day, and Lumen Photon setting over the head at 30 minutes, usually setting number 7 to reduce brain inflammation. And the micropulse, you can use the Under Armour type headband bitemporal at the lowest setting or the second to the lowest settings. And you can use it even at night, and it'll actually stop your migraines. It does it actually almost immediately. The CoQ10 Ubiquinol and the Power Methyl B12 and Sem-ethyl will just turn it off like less than 5 minutes, better than any of the drugs. Tension headaches, again, Inflamex, 4 to 5 capsules, 2 to 3 times a day. Usually 2 times a day is plenty. Pregnenolone to the TMJ and curcumin cream. Tendon Mender, 2 capsules twice a day, and then the CoQ10 Supreme Ubiquinol again will help as well. Hearing loss, we use Cognition Plus, Neurogen for the middle ear, Ultrathiamine B1, CDP choline, uridine monophosphate, and that will help with the acetylcholine pathways in the middle ear. BioLVR, Power Methyl B12 superfolate, and of course for the Lumen setting number 3 for the nervous system for the middle ear, and the micropulse with the Under Armour again at night over the areas of the ear. Now we sometimes have people who have cardiac arrhythmias. We recommend, of course, Cardiovasc, magnesium glycinate, and VascuCare, which is now coming back out with a 333 milligram capsule, 1 capsule 3 times a day with CoQ10 Supreme and CoQ10 Ubiquinol. That'll stop the cardiac arrhythmias. Back in just a moment to your questions, 800-259-579. A lot of time when you get exposed to chemotherapy, the conventional doctors have nothing, absolutely nothing to help resurrect a person's health and middle earring, or if they have a vertigo problem. We have a protocol that will involve not only mild hyperbaric oxygen, but also the combination of transcranial lumen photon and micropulse therapy, remyelination with Neurogen, Minerals Plus, and of course restoration of the acetylcholine pathways with ultrathiamine B1, CDP choline, and uridine monophosphate. the use of bio-LVR, power-methyl B12, superfolate, and of course methyl, which is extremely important for remyelination of the nerves. So when you're using Nutrifos and Neurogen, you'll need Minerals Plus because the minerals are important, and you may require also copper Regenemax. So hearing loss, we recommend that you use a combination of mild hyperbaric oxygen in our nutraceuticals and transcranial light micropulse therapy, and you will get recovery. We can tweak and adjust the protocol based on tests like our QRMA test, functional medicine history, etc., and functional medicine testing, which is blood, urine, stool, and genetic tests. So there are ways of getting around things. Someone has, let's say, hematuria in their urine, blood in their urine. And, of course, the first thing we think of is they can either have one of two things, either stones or actually three things, stones, cancer, or an infection of some kind. And it's not uncommon to actually see large stones, for example, like cystine stones or bladder stones that can actually be irritating the bladder wall or the urinary tract or all the way up to the pelvis of the kidney. First thing we think of is we have a positive culture, like a urine stick test, and look at leukocytes. Nutrimedicine, 15 drops in water 3 times a day, Allicin Med, a capsule 3 times a day, and silver 100. To stop the bladder spasm, we use Swedish flower pollen, 1 to 2 tablets 4 times a day, and the bladder up, 1 large soft gel morning and bedtime. Hemorrhoids, and believe it or not, the first thing we use is Gastro Heal. It'll heal from stem to stern, from the oropharynx all the way to the rectosigmoid. Chew 1 to 2 tablets of the Gastro Heal 4 times a day. Nutrimune, which coats the immunoglobulins in the gut wall, is Nutrimune or Ageless. Allergon to stop the histamines that cause spasm, which causes it above what's called a dentate ligament, causes a spasm that causes the hemorrhoids to break out from blocked vessels. And to recolonize the lower gut, Living Probiotic Ultra, and then Colon Cleanse. Colon Cleanse will actually, normalize bowel movements. So hemorrhoidal activity you can improve dramatically by using this protocol, especially things like the Gastro Heal. Hepatitis B and C. We can actually, with our protocol, reduce the viral load to 0 or close to 0. The first thing we recommend is a triple threat with Nutridyne, Allicin Med, and silver 100. Nutri-Defense, which will actually disrupt the viral capsid and boost natural killer cell activity. To help heal the liver, Cell Defense, which is curcumin with bioperin, black pepper extract. Special Matrix, the most powerful and available in the world. Nutrifos for healing the liver. Minerals Plus or copper Regenemax. Omega Supreme Krill, which the astaxanthin stops the liver inflammation. Allicin Med, and of course we mentioned that before. And you're able to see a viral load drop dramatically. It's important to stop the scarring, which is why Inflamax is extremely important, because sinusoidal scarring will cause portal hypertension, and it can cause varices in the esophagus and stomach that can rupture and cause someone to bleed to death. So over time, portal hypertension is a big complication. The other thing is hepatoma, is liver cancer. So you want to prevent that with things like malignant rest, ellagic acid, full vitamin K2, and Power C+. Herpes simplex, and this is both oral and vaginal herpes, and we recommend triple threat with Nutridyne, silver 100, and Allicin Med. I'd recommend the first thing is to keep it real simple, Allicin Med, a capsule twice a day for prevention of recurrence. Douche with Nutridyne and diluted in standard douche. Nutri-Defense, 2 capsules 3 times a day, and Nutri-Immune, 4 capsules twice per day. It's also in the Ageless drink. Herxheimer reaction. This is when someone gets a strong allergic reaction. Power C+, 6 to 9 capsules 3 times a day. Allergon to get rid of histamine, and Allerblock, a natural antihistamine. Hiatal hernia. You want to stop the stomach, actually, is because of abnormal peristalsis crawling back into the chest. We use Gastro Heal, chew 1 to 2 tablets 4 times a day. IBS Care, which is a slow-release carnitine to restore normal peristaltic activity of the esophagus and the small bowel and stomach. Nutri-Immune or Ageless drink, 4 capsules or 1 scoop twice a day. And of course the antipathogenics, because often Helicobacter pylori and fungi and mycobacteria are growing in the esophagus that cause the inflammatory changes in spasm. Allicin Med, Nutridyne, silver 100, and again Nutri-Defense. Hives or urticaria, Power C+, and full vitamin K2, Allergon, and Allerblock. Very, very effective stopping it. Cervicitis, if someone has an abnormal pap smear, believe it or not, we can use a douche with Nutridyne and silver 100, 12 drops of filtered water 4 times a day. You can also be using NutriDefense, which will disrupt the viral capsid and also cause intracellular changes to reverse back to normal. And you can also heal the DNA with ellagic acid, malignant block, and full vitamin K2 with Power C. So you can actually heal the DNA so the pap smear will return to a more normal or lower state of changes. Hypertension, very, very common. And what is hypertension? It's when your blood vessels are not getting a proper peristaltic response to the shearing force of the heart contractility. Cardiovasc, 15 to 45 drops or 1 to 3 capsules 3 times a day. And by the way, it does mean 3 times a day. Don't take it twice a day. Supernox, 2 to 3 caplets 3 times a day. Magnesium glycinate, 4 capsules twice a day. And magnesium taurate, 2 capsules twice a day. IBS Care, which is a slow-release form of carnitine. And Vascu Care, 1 capsule 3 times a day. CoQ10 Supreme, 3 soft gels twice a day, and CoQ10 ubiquinol. Gamma E Plus to stop the nitroperoxy radical. And voila, your blood pressure is going to drop. I also recommend you get some nitrates in your diet as well. You can get that by basically having beet juice powder. Hyperthyroidism, mitothyroid, 2 capsules twice a day. Nutriodine, this will work for hyperthyroidism as well as Graves' syndrome. We want to turn off the autoimmune condition attacking the gland. And there we may use malignant arrest, Power C+, full vitamin K2, and Allergon to reduce the inflammatory cytokines. Hypothalamic pituitary hormonal function support, and that is mitothyroid, Indiamese. Indium is very good for the pineal gland and the hypothalamus of pituitary. Nutridine, 10 to 15 drops twice a day. Vitamineral Max, and transtemporal lumen photon and micropulse therapy, as we mentioned earlier. Setting number 3 for the lumen photon micropulse, lowest or next to the lowest setting was underarm and headbands at night. Irritable bowel syndrome, IBS Care, which is a slow release form of carnitine. Nutra-Immune, 4 capsules twice a day. This coats the GI tract, or Ageless, which has the immunoglobulins. Allergon, 1 to 2 capsules 3 times a day. Allerblock, 1 to 2 capsules 3 times a day. And to recolonize the gut with a Roselle 6 strain from Paris, the Pasteur Institute Living Probiotic, and our Living Probiotic every second to third day. It's amazing. Idiopathic thrombocytic penia purpura. We had a consult just the other day about someone who has chronic thrombocytic penia purpura, and of course the conventional doctor drugs are really nasty for this. The first thing you have to do is approach it as an autoimmune condition, which means you want to put the person on malignant arrest, Power C+, full vitamin K2, malignant block, and ellagic acid, and you can turn off the autoimmune condition. We will be back in just a moment. 800-259-5791, any nutritional or any other topic. 800-259-5791. Top of the hour, hour 3, Tim Alexander and Chris Harris, our nuclear expert. We'll be back in just a moment. One of the things is all the amazing people all over the world that request consultations, including doctors and health professionals. And I have a gentleman in Scotland, and I just want to address this. His blood sugar, of course, is measured in different units than our milligram per deciliter here in America, but it's still, from the numbers he's given to me, it's roughly double normal. And that, of course, is a pattern that is indicative of diabetes. UCLA just published 2 weeks ago that 69% of people over 30 years of age are diabetic or borderline diabetic in America, according to the current standards. First thing I recommend, the 3 top things are dibetaline, 1 to 2 capsules twice a day. Glycemics drink. You want to replace meals and or snacks with Glycemics, 2 meals and 2 snacks at least. Maybe 3 snacks, but you can have a small 2 or 3 ounce glass of the Glycemics that'll actually, you can have it blended up in the refrigerator. Just pop a quick drink and it'll keep your blood sugar stabilized. Even if you take it before a meal, it'll keep your blood sugar more stable. It has the carbo block and has a number of other things that lower insulin resistance. And the third is leptin metabolic. It'll lower insulin and leptin resistance. We have additional ones you can use, Biotin Plus, chromium cruciferate, and of course things to convert your white fat to brown fat is LipoFlush, conjugated linoleic acid, and forskolin. That'll increase your metabolism, converting white fat to brown fat, and then lower insulin resistance. You want to stay on a low glycemic index diet. The doctor, of course, might try metformin and glipizide. Firstly, metformin may be okay because it's going to lower glucagon and output of insulin. Glipizide's bad because it's going to increase insulin, and anything that increases insulin will make things worse. So I definitely recommend you don't do that. So that's the basic program for you, Tom, in Scotland. We had a request from someone regarding protocols for autoimmune disease, diabetes, etc. And of course, we approach autoimmunity as if the condition is directly related to the same changes that occur actually before autoimmune disease and cancer. Diabetes, again, we just mentioned. Depression, I recommend Posinol. We're changing the name to Mood Elevator. 1 to 2 little soft gels, little tiny brown ones, 3 times a day. BioLVR capsule 3 times a day. If there's a low energy, we recommend Arrival. And then Cognition Plus, 2 capsules twice a day. And that will usually pull you out of depression. You can also use Samethyl acetylmethionine sachet, 1 sachet under the tongue twice a day. And it works really fast, usually in 2 to 3 days, not 2 or 3 weeks. So you'll get really rapid response to that. Autoimmunity, we approach it with malignant arrest to stop the pathways. We use things for repairing the DNA and the cell antigens on the surface, ellagic acid, malignant block, and high-dose Power C with full vitamin K2. So that'll help. If you're getting chronic things like, another question came up was chronic vaginal discharge and yeast, it has to recolonize from the gut. The first thing we recommend is berberstatin, Allicin Med, Silver 100, Nutridyne, and then recolonizing the gut with Living Probiotic and Living Probiotic Ultra. And that will knock out the charge. Vaginally, you can use douches with Nutriodine and Silver 100. That'll kill off the yeast locally. And, of course, stay on a low glycemic index diet. Don't eat, white bread, white sugar, any of those kind of things. Have like Ezekiel bread. It'll make a big difference. I had a question regarding electronic harassment. So once in a while I'll get a call on a question like this. First thing is, it does happen, actually. What's going on basically is a test to see if they can, harass people electronically by directing energy or frequencies that can affect their consciousness. You can get most of the protective equipment and materials over at Les EMF for electronic harassment. Strongly recommend you contact Emil directly, and he'll actually give you a full consultation on that. There's also what we call spiritual harassment, and then again, we've talked about that with our spiritual experts. He had a question regarding bees as well, and of course, the reason why the bees are disappearing is basically, at this point, at least 4 reasons. Number 1 is when you're looking at the bees, you're seeing neonicotinoid pesticides that are toxic, electromagnetic pollution like smart meters, Wi-Fi networks, etc., and electro pollution on the power lines from switching mode power supplies. The effects also of genetically modified foods, for example, Bt toxin in the food concentrates in the gut bacteria of bees and actually creates neurotoxins that destroy the nervous system. So you have Bt toxin. And then the 4th, of course, is fatigue, because a lot of these hives are hauled all over the country to, quote, service various crops. And if you do that and you're exposing them to diesel fuel exhaust like trimethyl anhydrides and other toxins, it causes stress on them and they don't function normally. So those are the 4 reasons for it, and those are all treatable. I have people wanting to know, I had a gentleman want to know about a consultation for MS remission. He was requesting information regarding all kinds of what I call various types of approaches to try to see if you can stop the MS. And some of these approaches, by the way, can be very expensive. It's a HSCT stem cell transplantation. Firstly, from my talks with all these stem cell experts, so far they've shown that it's the growth factors and that the actual stem cells, from what I can see, don't take. Whether it's umbilical cord stem cells, stem cell lines, and so on, but they do help. For example, we have people who have started taking the stem cell transplant from Nutrimedical at the Santa Clarita Clinic, or umbilical cord stem cells. The most concentrated stem cells, I think, are through the Nutrimedical affiliates in Astana, Kazakhstan, and the Santa Clarita Clinic. The next to that is the umbilical cord stem cells. And lastly, from your own fat cells or from your own bone marrow. The best way to actually do that is like with Dr. Centeno. You take the stem cells of your bone marrow and have to multiply them in a lab for a few weeks first before you get them back, because you're not going to have an adequate number of stem cells. And that does work for regenerating joints. So Dr. Centeno in his facility in the Grand Cayman Islands has good success with joint regeneration and spinal regeneration, but you have to multiply the stem cells. So that works, and there's no reaction to them. And they may take because of your own stem cells. But all the other approaches, it's primarily, I think, growth factors that are effective. If you do request a consultation, there's a 11-page consult intake form. You can also put your additional history, attach all documents as imaging. Do not fax. Do not put them in a mail. Don't send a disk. Attach them as attachments so I can keep them on my computer and access them anytime. Fill in the form. Fill in additional information. Attach x-rays, imaging, studies, labs, consultations, genetic analysis, whatever. For multiple sclerosis, yes, I can put it into remission, and I don't have to use the Copaxone and all the other toxic drugs. So I had another consultation for someone recently that wanted to know about how to stop idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, and they've had the problem for many years. Again, the same thing, fill in the form. We can stop it. We approach it, as I say, from the same approach as we do with autoimmune diseases of all types and cancer. The underlying metabolic changes are identical in all those conditions. One of the things I often see is people are wanting to know what kind of dentist I would recommend. My own dentist, Dr. Jeffrey Curbs, is a biological dentist. Only 16% of mercury amalgams in America are removed properly with proper high flow oxygen, et cetera. And you also want to do materials testing if you're planning on putting in, titanium posts or putting in artificial new teeth and so on. If you're not seeing a biological dentist, you're putting yourself in danger. You don't want to have a massive release of mercury that precipitates a major medical illness like diabetes, heart failure, dementia, or a major problem like cancer. So that's really important. And if you're going to do a dental cleaning, you want to use a dental cleaning that not only uses ozone, but also YAG laser to clear out cavitations from dead tissue. So the ozone and YAG laser are very important. So I recommend to don't just get a deep cleaning, get a deep cleaning with ozone and YAG laser. It gives you some ideas of how I approach these illnesses. We have a number of people that want to know about how to deal with things like tinnitus and many other illnesses. Firstly, tinnitus is a problem that means that the inner ear is basically getting inflammatory changes in the middle ear balance mechanisms that regulate the stapes bone in the middle ear. So it actually, the little muscle that's tied to it is actually vibrating the bones of the middle ear that are tied to the tinnitus, and also the hair cells, in a sense, are dying that actually regulate hearing. We can stop that with the right nutraceuticals, right transcranial therapies, and also mild hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Hyperbaric oxygen is really important, along with our nutraceuticals, and transcranial lumen photon and micropulse. We'll be back in just a minute with more answers for consultations. And welcome back to the NutriMedical Report. One of the important things is to understand that we are often dealing with a condition. If you're not making progress on our initial protocol, it's because we only give you a partial protocol, and with your condition, you may need a more aggressive approach to get things moving. Once they do start improving, you can actually start tapering nutraceuticals, and one of the best ways to measure that is the QRMA. It'll actually look at your nutrient levels, your organ function, etc., and looking at the bioplasmatic body, and it tells things even before the blood test will start showing major changes. It'll tell you if you're deficient in minerals like potassium, magnesium. It'll tell you if you've got toxins. It tells you if your organ function is normal or not, like thyroid or male or female hormone levels and so on. It's very, very helpful. And even before you actually do, say, salivary hormone levels, blood tests, etc. So extremely useful. Let's look at one of the next questions we have here. Someone wants to know about if there's specific frequencies for helping people get better from cancer. I'm doing research in this area, but it's still in progress. And the research that was done at the Russian Space Agency is probably the most advanced, looking at the bioplasm. And I figured out a way of actually extracting the treatment frequencies with an oscilloscope. So we'll have a network of people that can get the technology. They would need a bioplasm expert or clinical machine, a specific oscilloscopic attachment in a specific configuration, and they can then do treatments either with a Rife machine, would be one of the ways of doing it, or other technologies such as frequency-specific microcurrent. So those are possibilities, and there are doctors that we can refer through our network if you do a consultation with me to help in that way. Let's see, I had a question that I wanted to know about symbology. Jonathan Gray, I've talked to him about this separately. A lot of people have heard Matthew talk about symbology and numerology and so on. We're not talking about divinations. This is biblical. If you look at the book called Sting of the Scorpion, which is a book by Jonathan Gray, he also has a video on it, and it was actually the turning point of him becoming a Christian, was actually looking at the biblical star signs of the ancient Bible that were true, that pointed toward the coming of the Messiah. And if you actually look at the word pictures of all of the Hebrew letters, which J.R. Church did in some of his books before he died, they were excellent. I have all of them. So when Matthew comes on, he's actually talking about symbology and numerology and other things that are actually biblical. So if you want to get the materials backing it, look at the Sting of the Scorpion ebook and get the videos associated with that, and that should help your understanding. Next question. By the way, if you're listening to the program, I try to make it real simple. I've done a lot of work recently on improving the links in our Listen Live panel on the upper right-hand page of both NutriMedical.com and ClayandIron.com. All the archives are free, MP3s. All of the links direct you to Listen Live. There's a Listen Live phone number on a Native Reserve site. You need to know that we have everything free. In fact, the YouTube channel is free. The only thing where there's a membership where you have to actually get a password and there's no charge for it is if you are an elite customer, which means you purchased 6 times in the last year or $1,000 order, you get the password for the live stream channel. So we have a live stream channel link and a YouTube channel link. Those are all there. And if you're a radio station, and we're also recruiting to get people out there to get their local radio station to get the show, we have the transponder information and so on for how to link up and get that. And so you can obtain the signal for your local radio stations to pick up the show. So if you want help with that, do contact me, and we really appreciate your support. So again, Listen Live links, all those are there. You don't have to go to GCN Live, whatever. Just go to our site. It brings you directly to the sub page so you can find it. And you can also download a specific day if you want to listen to the programs, hour 1, 2, 3, or you can do a date range. Let's say if you're trying to get all of the shows in last week, just get the starting date and the end date. If you get a date range on the GCN site, it's really well done. Easy to find the entire week. Download it to your iPhone, your iPad, or your computer, and then you can listen at your leisure. And of course, we also have the all the other things like podcasts and so on are operational, but it doesn't work, I think, as well on Google Chrome. I think you have to use Firefox or some other search engine for you to see the podcasts really easily. We had a request regarding autoimmune lipoatrophy. This is where your muscles, your actual fatty tissue is being attacked. It's a autoimmune disorder, and again, this is the protocol we use for our core autoimmune conditions. Malignant arrest, which stops the hexose monophosphate shunt, a packet twice a day. Malignant block, 2 capsules 3 times a day. Ellagic acid, 2 capsules 3 times a day. Power C plus 3 to 6 to 9 capsules 3 times a day. Full vitamin K2, 2 to 3 capsules 3 times a day. And then cell defense, 2 caplets 3 times a day. Allergon, 1 to 2 capsules 3 times a day. And cell detox glutathione, 1 to 2 capsules 3 times a day. That will actually shut off the autoimmune condition. It doesn't matter what it is, MS, autoimmune lipoatrophy, etc. And I recommend usually the person stay on a ketogenic diet. You can amplify the effect of turning off the autoimmune condition with mild hyperbaric oxygen. The combination works really well. Someone asked a question from Europe about a blue lens filter, if it caused harm to their eyes. No. Blue light, basically if you have a blue light filter, you're going to see things more yellowy, but it doesn't do any visual damage. It's just a little more expensive, and a lot of time they put that on there because it'll reduce glare a bit, because it's primarily blue light that's going to affect you. Let's see. Here's this question. Somebody wanted to know about the ozone compressor for the hyperbaric chambers. Yes, we have those under our ozone, anion detox technologies and plasma air filter systems. The ozonator is a small little device, has a timer on it. You set the timer, run the little hose out to your compressor of your mild hyperbaric chamber, and it works really well. So we have one of our gentlemen up in Canada who has already got a chamber for his son. That's how you do it. And you turn on your hyperbaric chamber compressor. I also have an oxygen concentrator from Respironics I turn on as well. It's amazing. If I can spend an hour and a half in there, my entire day and the next days are much, much better. You recover much faster from anything, any stress. You sleep better. It's just amazing. Let's have a look here now at the next thing. Somebody wants to know about... let's see. Somebody wanted to review some of the things on the ketogenic diet. Fats and oils primarily. You want to stay, you can use butter, macadamia nut flour, avocado. I think the walnut is particularly helpful. Walnut oils, etc. You don't want anything that is we call oxidized or trans fatty acids. Avocado is very good. You want to avoid any hydrogenated fats whatsoever. Avocado, beef tallow, butter, chicken fat, ghee, which is filtered. Non-hydrogenated lard, macadamia nuts, mayonnaise, olive oil, coconut butter, red palm oil, etc. Those are good. Peanut butter. I like the walnut butter from. There's several different companies that produce some really good forms of walnut that's very good on this diet. In terms of meat, fish, shellfish, don't have any shellfish from the West Coast, please. Whole eggs, make sure they're free range. Meat, if you have grass-fed, you're going to get conjugated linoleic acid, and it's much healthier for you. Poultry, you want to make sure that it's free range again, because if you get non-free range, the chicken feed actually contains arsenic. And go for natural peanut butter that doesn't have sugar in it, and normal omega fatty acids. So that helps you there. In terms of vegetables, you want to have vegetables that are growing above ground, like leafy vegetables, things like asparagus, avocado, broccoli, carrots. You can have a little bit of those. Celery, cucumber, mushrooms, onions, bell peppers, etc., squash, tomatoes, and so on. Those are all very helpful. In terms of milk products, I like coconut almond milk, particularly good. Heavy whipping cream, sour cream, cottage cheese. Nuts, particularly good. Walnuts, macadamia nuts, almonds, cashews, pistachios are my favorite in terms of this diet, pistachio nuts. Next would be walnuts. And there's many different walnut spreads that you can get that are basically raw or very fresh that are extremely helpful. Beverages, you want to be on a water, tea, herbal, and no sugar whatsoever, of course. And drink lots and lots of filtered water. So that gives you kind of the basics of the ketogenic diet. So you have some ideas there. When you send me a compressed file QRMA, you don't have to do anything. Just send me the compressed file along with your history, and I will analyze your QRMA. If you want to set up a business for it, you can charge a small fee for doing the QRMA. Advise your people, if you send it off, I will send you a one-page history intake form. They will be charged a fee for doing an analysis of their QRMA if they're not your family. So if you're interested in doing that, and you already have a QRMA machine, or you want to get one, by all means contact us and we can make an arrangement for you. Don't tell people you're diagnosing any treatment or any condition. You're just measuring their imbalances, is what you want to say. Imbalances and deficiencies. When we come back, we will be joined by Tim Alexander, and we do have Chris Harris, who's been very busy the last few weeks in the nuclear Navy. He will give us an update, 5-year update of Fukushima Daiichi and thyroid cancer, etc. Coming up tomorrow is Firing Line, and the sale starts tonight. The sale starts tonight at midnight on the East Coast, which is 9 p.m.